Nancy, can you give us a quick intro about yourself? Who's Nancy? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a PM for 12-ish years,
Mm,
and I got laid off in November,
mhm,
and I went on a trip,
mhm,
and I came back from my trip, and I decided I wanted to give coaching a try. And
mhm,
it's not really an on and off switch. It was more of a journey and a process.
mm,
Just like most people, we
mhm,
are wired to look for a job when we don't have a job.
mhm,
And because we've been working for over a decade, looking for a job becomes a very natural and normal thing that we
mhm,
do. So, of course, the first thing I do is, oh, and let me work on my resume. Let me start applying for jobs, etc. And because I was going on this trip, I wasn't very serious in looking for a job in the beginning.
mhm,
And while I was on the trip, I came across a Facebook post from someone looking for an English tutor. And because my mindset at the time was I'm just going to take it easy and not force myself to look for a job, I responded to the post and sure, I could help with that. Person wanted to interview me. And then during the interview, that person said, I'm a PM at Facebook, said to me on the phone that I would be the perfect tutor for him. So it started off with English tutoring in a professional setting.
mhm,
And because Facebook has its own culture, has its own identity, Facebook uses words differently from other companies. So
mhm,
it started with me helping him with wording and framing. And because he's not a native speaker,
mhm,
there's also cultural differences that I was helping him with.
mhm,
He's from Taiwan, where I came from, so
mhm,
I understand the Taiwanese culture being laid back and be very polite, and you
mhm,
don't want to order people around. And when you ask people to do something, you ask in a very roundabout way.
mhm,
So, for example, he would say, "Oh, when you have time, could you please look into this? Thank you so much." And so, like, he's just being his Taiwanese self. But in a environment like Facebook, that is not how you communicate as a PM. You just have to be direct and say, "Hey, I need this from you by this time. Let me
mhm,
know if you need help." We're still being polite, but the style is different. So it started with me helping him with that because he was new to Facebook. Then I was helping him navigate the politics. At
mhm,
Facebook, we use Facebook for work. You have to post your status updates every week, and he was struggling with that. So I was helping him with his weekly posts.
mhm,
And then at Facebook, you also have to write these documents when you go into office hours to get feedback and buy-in from leadership team. And the office hours is also once a week. You have to send a pre-read and you have to send a summary. So there's just a lot of documentation. I was helping him write his documentation. And then basically throughout that journey, since
mhm,
I was traveling, I was
mhm,
taking calls from him from Taiwan actually.
mhm,
And then it made me realize this coaching thing is not bounded by geography. And
mhm,
I could work anywhere, which is a very good experience. And I
mhm,
could see my parents, I could still be traveling, and I could coach. So
mhm,
when I came back to the Bay Area, I
mhm,
started to look for a job. But then
mhm,
at the same time, I was trying to build my coaching business. When you're looking for a job, you're working on your resume, you're working on your LinkedIn. But
mhm,
when you're working as a coach, you're also working on your resume. You're also working on your LinkedIn because you're selling yourself as a coach versus you're selling yourself as an employee.
mhm,
And I just had this huge resistance in my body when I was trying to sell myself as a candidate. I got this interview one time and it was actually a very good opportunity. It's
mhm,
a good company, good level. And in this market,
mhm.
having a good opportunity is hard to come by, right? I felt like I was supposed to feel excited and grateful to have this opportunity to interview.
Right.
That's not even like major down leveling, whatever.
Mhm,
But at the same time, I was just so over it. I
mhm,
just didn't have any drive to prepare for that interview, even though my brain is saying, this is such a good opportunity. You should just do it. But my heart was saying, but I just want to work on my coaching website. I just want to work on my branding. I
mhm,
just want to sell myself as a coach. So the work is the same of you selling yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
my heart was just pulling me toward the coaching
Mm-hmm.
world. And so I
Mm-hmm.
just kept on following my heart and
Mm-hmm.
I just kept on ignoring my brain. And
Mm-hmm.
that just led me down this path of, okay, more coaching,
Mm-hmm.
less job hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so toward the end, it was just 100% coaching and
Mm-hmm.
no job hunting at all. So it's a process and it's a journey.
Definitely. I picked up on a few things there, right? I'm sort of curious for somebody who wants to understand what this entails, right? This seems like a huge risk. What is it that's sort of driving you towards saying, hey, you know what, I want to risk it all and I want to sort of do this, even though, you need a lot of credibility to establish yourself and put yourself in that space where people trust you to guide them in their own journey.
So in the beginning, I looked into consulting.
Hmm.
I looked into freelancing and I also looked into startup advising
Hmm.
and coaching all at the same time. Didn't have a strategy other than I'm going to do what feels good. And PM consulting just didn't feel good.
Hmm.
I was not happy with doing the PM job as a consultant.
Hmm.
It just feels like another employee type of job.
Mm.
You're just not there full time. And I just didn't like doing it. So it's the same feeling as a take home assignment that you get in interviews. Like, how would you come up with a strategy to help eBay with enthusiastic shoppers or whatever?
Hmm.
Like, that just feels the same in my body.
Hmm.
And my strategy is, okay, if I don't feel good about it, I don't want to do it.
Hmm.
So I just kept on doing what felt good.
Hmm.
And it was more of the coaching thing that felt good. And then startup advising also felt good. And
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I just realized I just want to give advice.
Hmm.
I don't want to do actual PM deliverables.
Can you talk about the nitty-gritty? How do you source clients? What's the day-to-day look like? What sort of workload do you have? Is that seasonal? I know that you haven't been doing it for an extended period of time, but just how has your experience been so far, and what is it going to look like in about a year from now?
So my funnel is LinkedIn. That's where people find me. Um, a lot of more established coaches advise that you start building your coaching business on the side while you still have your full-time job. I understand that strategy because it's safer. Um, when I started my journey, I only had 1,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is a very, very small following. So my funnel was not wide, and I got some clients through word of mouth and through referrals from people that I have worked with in the past, not as a official coach, but more as a informal coach that I was doing on the job. So I got my initial clients that way. And then I also know other coaches, they drive a lot of traffic through YouTube. They make a lot of YouTube videos. I consider that, but I just don't enjoy making very high quality videos and putting in a lot of effort into editing video. Like that doesn't make me happy. So YouTube is not my top of funnel. Now LinkedIn is my top of funnel. And so I spend all my time on LinkedIn to build my funnel. So I still work full time, as in I I put in at least 8 hours a day on my business. And that is actually a lot of time spent being a content creator.
I'm curious in terms of content and like solopreneurship itself. Where do you see this going forward? Everybody is an expert. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So I started with one-on-one coaching, but I know that I cannot scale my business that way. So then I started a group course. And these days there's also tons of courses out there.
Mhm.
I met a student. She enrolled in my class this week. I met her maybe 2, 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
when she was looking for a coach, and then she can't afford private coaching, it's too expensive. And that's also another reason why I wanted different price points, because not everyone can afford private coaching,
Mhm.
which is a 4-figure investment.
Mhm.
And my goal is to have something in the 1-digit category, 2-digit, 3-digit, and then 4 digits, right? That's my goal.
Mhm.
And so I launched my course, which is in the 3-digit category.
Mhm.
And then she asked me, there's so many people, so many teachers out there, so many courses, how do you pick? And I said, of course, there's going to be a lot of teachers. There's a lot of teachers who can teach math,
Mhm.
and they are all valid. It
Mhm.
really comes down to who you resonate with. Who do you like?
Mhm.
So I could tell you what an apple is, and you could also tell me what an apple is, but the way we describe the apple would be different. And
Mhm.
the way we describe the apple is based on our perception of the world, it's based on our life experiences, it's also based on just who we are, what our personality is. So
Mhm.
what I told her is, this is my personality,
Mhm.
and you know me now a little bit better from just talking to me.
Mhm.
And I also share with her some of my fundamental beliefs. Like, I am a spiritual person, so I approach most of my life from a spiritual angle, and that's why I say things like, I just do what feels good. Right? That's not very scientific, but that is how I operate as a spiritual person, right? I'm just following my heart. And
Mhm.
that's going to show up in how I teach.
Mhm.
So I told her, you have to take courses and learn from people that you resonate with. And if my style resonates with you, then you take my course. If it doesn't, then don't. And then the next day she enrolled.
Mhm.
So it actually doesn't matter to me that there's so many experts out there. What matters to me is just, I'm just going to show who I am, and it's going to attract people that resonate with me on the same energy level.
So you talked earlier about your first kind of introduction into this PM coaching world
Mhm.
was through kind of a Facebook lens.
Yeah.
But now that you have more clients, what do you see the majority of the demand being? Is it like over indexing on one type of company or one type of subject? I know that there are buzzwords like AI or Web3. What are people looking for?
There's two big categories. One is job search support, and then the other category is growth. How do you get promoted? And how do you become a people manager? Because I am not an expert in AI. I am more of an expert in how to do well in an interview, and how to get yourself seen, and how do you get recognition. So I guess the other way of saying it is, that's my niche.
I had another perspective, right? Now you're meeting your demands, and there are more people trying to get in to your course. How do you sort of foresee picking people? How do you foresee choosing people that will sort of resonate with you as well, from the reverse perspective?
I choose people who really believe that I could help them. I have met people who are skeptical about whether I could help them or not. So in those cases, I actually send them away, and I say, hey, let me refer you to this other person that I know that does okay, by the way, so I don't like to do resume reviews and helping people write their resume. I just don't like doing it. So I send them away. But if they want to work with me, then I say, the way I work is, it doesn't just end with resume review.
Mhm.
How I want to work is equip you with knowledge so that you show up the best you can in a job interview situation. So
Mhm.
I don't just do resumes, because that's not what I want to do. So if I feel like we're not resonating, I just refer someone else.
How do we prioritize people over products, even while sort of thinking about product itself? And at times I find this challenging because revenue is what sort of decides how successful a product looks like.
So my answer is a very spiritual answer to that.
Mhm.
And that's because I'm just a spiritual person. My business right now is me. So I am the product. of the business, and I am my own PM. How do I monetize me as a product, and how do I monetize my knowledge and my personality? I believe that if I could add value and if I could transform someone, they would love to pay me. I'm going to pause here for a second because that belief is not very conventional, but I believe that it can be done such that people would want to pay me. They actually feel good paying me. I put that intention out there, the universe, and it's going to attract people like who think that way toward me. And that's just how I believe the universe works. So this is a very metaphysical explanation to monetization. And so far it's working.
2 questions. So, for someone who is going to embark on this journey, I'm a full-time PM, but even those who are not full-time or who are unemployed but still thinking about this, what would your main advice be? And also, what were your biggest learning points so far? What did you do well and what did you not do well?
So one of my biggest strengths is I just take action. There's not a lot of second guessing. I just do it. And I didn't know that this is a strength until I started to meet more people and talking about coaching in general. So an example of that is I started to live stream, and I never thought of live streaming as a scary thing. To me, it's a fun thing, and I just keep doing it. I just like to go live because the energy and the vibe is just different when you are live and you're just really capturing this genuine connection that two people have together. But then I am meeting more and more people who are scared and self-conscious, and they worried about how they come across in these live streams, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized I actually don't care about any of that. None of that bothers me at all. And then I realized, oh, that's actually a strength of mine. I really don't have a problem just putting myself out there. If there's something that I want to do, I just do it. But then the downside of that is I have a lot of content out there that don't have engagement, and I'm still a human being. If I don't get the encouragement and then engagement, I still feel bad about myself, but it doesn't stop me from doing it again. So a lot of my journey is about just doing what I like. And then there's a big element of, oh, people don't like me. And then when that happens, I break out my journal and I write in my journal and I say, is it ultimately true that people don't like me? No, that's not true, because who says that's true? Like, who can prove that that is a fact? Just because there's no engagement doesn't mean that people don't like me, right? So then I start to have a conversation with myself, and that helps me break out of this like low vibe, and I go back to my high vibes again.
Do you ever feel lonely? Because as a PM, you're surrounded by all these people, and it's different. Now you have all your clients and the people you're engaging, I guess. But is there any loneliness?
No, I don't feel lonely at all, because there are people who are also trying to build their brand. So I join a community where we are doing this together. But the downside of that is you will meet people who are really far ahead. So right now I have 2,000 followers. Yay, I grew from 1,000 to 2,000. But that's still like very small compared to someone who has 10,000 followers, right? So when I meet those people, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they have done so much. But I also know that they started the journey way ahead, and everyone is on different journeys.
Do you have any recommendations for what those groups are, or any resources of people who are trying that out?
So it's just different platforms that I came across. This platform that we're on, All Takes, it has a community of coaches. The community is not all about tech people. So in this community, in the All Takes community, you're meeting coaches from all kinds of disciplines like wellness and health, etc. And I'm on a different platform called Korea. That is more of a tech crowd. Tech people trying to build their brand. That's a whole different vibe. So I just join these platforms and I meet new people and I ask people to live stream, for example, and that's how I find my community. So it's not a lonely feeling.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you
So much for sharing.
My advice is to just do it.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that. Just do it.
But only if it feels good.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep chatting if you want. Cool. Well, thank you all for joining.